Welcome back. The Trump administration canceling nearly $700 million worth of offshore wind projects at nationwide ports, overhauling 12 major projects granted by the Biden administration. One project in Northern California's Humboldt Bay was getting more than $420 million in federal funding. Joining me now is U.S. Energy Secretary Christopher Wright. Secretary, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. You've got all these projects which are, not necessarily projects that you can rely on. I mean, is the wind blowing? Is the sun shining? And yet hundreds of millions of dollars were going at these projects. Tell us more.
Yeah, Maria, no one would build energy projects like these without massive government subsidies, government mandates, government expedited permitting that allows you to go over everyone's objections. So, yeah, the big one at the Energy Department that we pulled back on was mutual with the utility developer as well. They knew there was no way the wind farm was actually going to be built. So why build a transmission line that half the time would just sit there doing nothing and the other half of the time would carry some variable amounts of power? They knew it was just a road to make their electricity prices more expensive. So we had a mutual parting of the ways. These are healthy dialogues about energy. We need to start thinking about Americans.
Yeah, and I don't understand why the Democrats pushed this so aggressively. I mean, was this just an ideology that they wanted to push the climate change agenda? Or, I mean, knowing that prices were going to go higher, knowing that these weren't reliable projects, the wind has to be blowing, the sun has to be shining, otherwise you're not getting anything.
It's very hard to explain. But, yeah, I think it's become, as you say, an ideology that people want to push it. Denmark today has the most expensive electricity in the world. They were the first movers in offshore wind. Germany has the second most expensive, and the United Kingdom is chasing in the record for the most expensive electricity you can. That's the result as you grow offshore wind. That's not a race the United States wants to win. We want to win in jobs and opportunity and low electricity prices.
Secretary of the Energy Department also announcing more than $35 million going to 42 projects, all aimed at advancing emerging energy technology. What is that emerging technology? I know that some money went to grid security, nuclear energy, artificial intelligence, manufacturing, and more, as the administration is trying to cut Biden-era green spending and allocate the money toward actually what the country needs. The CEO of the American Energy Institute says progressive environmental groups are linked to, quote, a web of dark money groups, alleging ties to former President Obama and other Democrats as well, Secretary.
Yeah, and these are just different magnitudes, too, right? We were proud to announce these $35 million. These are early-stage technologies coming out of our national labs that can be used for the grid, that can use to make nuclear safer and more secure. These are cutting-edge technologies that we want to give a nudge into the marketplace. But that's $35 million. In the One Big Beautiful Bill, we cut $500 billion.
Wow.
And those are subsidies for wind, for example, that were 33 years old. If a business has not started in 30 years, it's got to fly on its own by then. But there are new cutting-edge things that come out of our labs, and if we can give them a nudge to get them into the commercial marketplace, we're happy to do that for the ones that have great potential.
What else are you looking at in terms of your priorities right now, Secretary?
The single biggest priority is to make sure the grid, we don't go down the blackout road, which is the trajectory we were handed when we were arrived. So we're trying to make sure firm power stays on the grid. New firm energy sources can be added onto the grid. These are mostly going to be natural gas, but a lot of nuclear is going to come on soon behind that. If we can expand capacity of hydro, if we can keep coal plants that have 10 or 15 or 20 years left of their life, and people want to close them for political reasons, but that's going to increase the risk of blackout or push up people's electricity prices, we're going to stop that. We just think every day about American consumers and American businesses.
Of course. And by the way, on the nuclear part of this story, we're seeing lots of startups understanding the president's agenda and starting up companies regarding nuclear. That is a big prospect, as you just mentioned. How much do you want to look at nuclear versus others? And what do we need to understand about nuclear energy?
The difference between nuclear and what we mostly hear about, wind and solar, is that it works 24/7, 365, whether the sun is shining and the wind is blowing. It takes a very small footprint, so very high energy density, and it could become a major source of energy in the world. It was 6% of global energy in the year 2000. It's only 4% today, but it could be 10, 20, 30% of global energy in a few decades. It has room to run. We just need to make it efficient and more cost effective, and that comes with scale, and that comes with technology innovation. And yes, American capital is flowing into that.
I mean, you also recently issued the final authorization for Commonwealth liquefied natural gas, exporting more than 1.2 billion cubic feet of LNG per day to non-free trade agreement countries. You issued an emergency order to ensure grid reliability in the Mid-Atlantic and avoid power outages. Secretary, what do you want to say about these latest projects? And also, what can you say to the rest of the world that the U.S. is back in business when it comes to energy? Why is Europe still buying oil or gas from Russia?
Europe lost their way and got driven by climate politics. If we can scare people, we can convince them to put up with anything. A search for relevance, I don't know why Europe lost their way, but they stopped economic growth in that collection of nations 15 or 16 years ago, which is why they have a rise of angry populist parties, and their industry are just leaving their continent. We want to do the opposite in the U.S. We want energy cost affordable here. We want great business conditions. We want to grow jobs and opportunities. The LNG one you mentioned, that's the United States' fastest growing export. Probably in a few years, it'll be our largest export. The United States is just the dominant producer of natural gas. It's the world's fastest growing source of energy. Let's have a win for America and a win for our allies.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Draghi, former head of Italy and former, central bank head, came out with research recently looking at the regulation in Europe. And I asked Christine Lagarde about this, the fact that America has, five at least $1 trillion companies right now. We've got some companies that are actually valued at $4 trillion or more. The highest valued company in Europe, $300 billion. And that's because of the obesity drugs out of Novo Nordisk. The bottom line is Europe cannot generate $1 trillion company the way America has generated so many of them, and it's because of regulation. Christine Lagarde admitted that when I spoke with her, the president of the ECB, just last week.
We're hoping to see our European allies follow the United States' direction and turn back to more common sense on energy, turn back to a drive to put high-paying jobs in their own countries. I think Germany may be pivoting that direction. Fingers crossed, but I see some promising things there. But overall, yes, there's a lot of room to increase the dynamism in Europe. And in the short term and long term, they're becoming an increasing customer for United States energy. Much better to buy your energy from your allies than your enemies.
That's right. All right. So what about the utility bills, higher prices? Some Americans are seeing higher utility bills because of AI demand and other technology taking a toll on the power grid. Now, obviously, oil prices are way down. The president was able to rein in inflation after Joe Biden sent it to 40-year highs. But what about higher electricity bills? What can we do about this? And what do you want to say to people who are upset by some bills right now on utilities?
Well, electricity prices rose a lot, almost 30% under the Biden administration. It angered Americans. It's part of the reason President Trump was elected and won all of the swing states. That is a key challenge for us, though. Things move slowly in the electricity grid. All sorts of crazy projects were under construction and being built on your electricity grids over the last 4 years. We can't stop all of them. They're going to get finished. That extra expenditure goes into the rate base for the utility, and it pushes up your prices. But we're doing everything we can to build common sense things on those electricity grids and to build electricity in front of the AI demand. So we can both lead China in the race to lead AI, which is critical, and we can also stop the rise in electricity prices. In the next few years, I think we'll make enormous progress on that. But it's what I worry about most 7 days a week. We want to stop the rise in electricity for Americans and reshore jobs and opportunity here.
Yeah, all at a time that AI is changing the way we operate on all levels. Secretary, it's great to see you. We so appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
All right, Energy Secretary Christopher Wright, stay with us. We'll be right back.